Welcome to episode 11 of Evermore Digital's Vendor Spotlight, bringing you the very best in insurance technology. Just to dispel the rumors I've had in my inbox this week, there is absolutely no digital jiggery pokery going on with my video. Try saying that 3 times fast. Were I to map my head onto another body, this definitely would not be it. I just have a very narrow green screen and a comfortable chair. But joining me today, I hope with an equally comfortable chair, is a serial entrepreneur, innovator, thought challenger, and eternal optimist. He's changing the way that insurers process payments, bringing integration-free access to the global payments ecosystem. He is the CEO of Imburse and causing me serious beard envy. It is Oliver Werneyer. Oliver, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me on your show. Really appreciate it.
So Oliver, tell us a little bit about your background and how you found your way into insurance.
So I'm South African by background, grew up in South Africa, had a father who was entrepreneurial, did my first own company when I was 16. Eventually had to study something that somebody recognizes, got into actuarial science, and thus found my way into the insurance world, spending most of my time around product development, strategy, and technology projects through direct insurers, reinsurers, eventually landing me here where I am now doing my own thing for the insurance world.
You're the third guest we've had on in 11 episodes who's South African. The South Africans are absolutely smashing it in InsurTech at the moment. Incredible.
Well, I think just this entrepreneurial nature is very common.
Well, as always today, I'm going to have 5 killer questions on your InsurTech offering, followed by a not remotely randomly generated quick fire round. So without further ado, let the reckoning begin, Oliver. What do you do and how does it help brokers, MGAs, insurers and vendors? We've opened that question up slightly for this episode.
So in the end, we solve the integration problem that many companies face when trying to deal with payments. So a lot of companies, for them, payments is a moment of truth, collection and payout. But every time they want to choose a vendor or technology in a payment space that moves fast, we're talking new integrations, and new integrations take long, they're expensive, and we're really just there to solve the integration problem, provide them one connection like a universal adapter, to then be able to choose any provider, any technology going forward and never have to worry about an integration project ever again, and going to really cause heart attacks for their COOs and CFOs.
Oh, I would absolutely have killed for this in some of my previous roles where we were constantly having to integrate with different systems. So I really, really like this as an idea. And what's the element of this offering of which you're most proud?
I'm most proud of the fact that, one, we were able to deliver an enterprise solution that we are selling to the largest insurers across Europe in under 2 years, as in winning really big clients, wow, making a very big difference to their operations and following through on our promise.
And what's the biggest success story you've had along that journey?
Our biggest success story is actually taking one of our clients in one market, which was Ireland, to grow rapidly within 6 months to immediately deploy their solution wider into the UK, into Germany, and now into Australia and New Zealand, all under 6 months, and no extra technical work on their side. So really living up to our promise.
And what does your typical or ideal customer look like in terms of profile?
There are 3 main characteristics. One, they're multi-geographic, so they operate or want to operate in multiple markets. They are complex legal entities. Even insurers, it might be one name, but underneath are multiple lines of business and multiple legal entities, which means connectivity becomes hyper complex. And third, those who have legacy IT systems and processes. So we can really help maximize the return for those 3 companies with those 3 characteristics.
And I'm gonna throw in a slightly, and this isn't one of the questions, I haven't prepared you for this. We're gonna have to ad hoc this. But one of the things we spoke about off camera was about, and this was the bit that spoke to me, was how you can kind of you can put scenarios around payments. Did you want to just expand on that a bit? Because I think that's a really interesting part of the Imburse offering.
So in terms of scenarios, right? So as all these insurance companies and many other organizations are trying to be customer centric, you have to plan out not for one scenario, but multiple scenarios, because scenarios can be determined not only by customer needs, but also business needs. And often today you have to sacrifice one. You either do what the business needs and the customer suffers, or you do what the customer wants and the business suffers. By us being able to completely detach you from the actual IT work to access payments, you can really cater for this in a very enterprise fashion, maintain all the control, maintain all the decisioning, but really deliver it to both the business and the consumer in the way that they actually need it and want it, rather than sort of deliver a compromise. So one example would be that within one market, your different customer segments might react differently to different payments. You might not have the older segment wanting to pay with Apple Pay and Google Pay, but the younger segment only wants to pay with that. But as we know in insurance, the younger group might only be in the beginning 2 or 3% of your actual book. So now to cater payments just for that group often doesn't work on a business case level. And now, because you don't have to do an integration, you can deploy it in 10 minutes at zero cost, you can actually service that need and really exceed customer expectations. And thus, you can really use scenario planning to really optimize for both the business and the customer.
That answer was so good that I don't believe anyone's going to believe that I hadn't prepped you for that question, but I can promise I've just thrown that in out of nowhere because it came to mind. But what's the biggest weakness in your offering?
So as we solve the integration problem, our biggest weakness is that we are not an actual payment institution. So while we promise the connectivity to all these providers, payments are so elusive and so complex for companies. They always just ask, hey, can you not just do the payments for us? Can we just not sign a contract with you and you do it? And the answer is no, and we will never offer that. It's just not in our roadmap. It's just not where we add value. There are lots of payment companies out there that do great jobs, and we really want to focus on the connectivity piece.
Great. And now we're going to move on to the quick fire round, which is 10 questions, instinctive answers only. Are you strapped in and ready for this one?
I am ready. Let's go ahead.
Who's the greatest actor of all time?
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves. Wow. A favorite other InsurTech?
I have to say APX from Switzerland, RegTech.
What are they doing? Just share that in short detail.
From an enterprise background, also in banking, when you want to do something, you always have the regulator looking in, and you always have the organization asking, are we allowed to do what we are about to do from a contract perspective, be it move money, sign contracts? So you always need some kind of regulatory expert opinion, and they've actually sort of automated that through an API. You can submit documentation, it checks it for you, it marks it for you, what you should be aware of, gives you a decision, and you can record that so that when somebody comes back later and says, why did you do that? And be like, well, because these are the decisions I based it on. I think it's really cutting edge stuff.
Cool. William or Harry?
Harry.
What's your go-to takeaway order? And I want you to go full Smithy on this one. What do you order?
KFC, because we don't get that here in Switzerland. So that's like if I can get it, we get it. So
have you just seen they've just re-released the Double Down?
No,
it's come back, and that may have saved 2020 for me. I'm very excited about it.
I will look forward to traveling to the UK again at some point to be able to get it.
InsurTech with or without an E?
Without.
Jobs or Gates?
Gates, any day.
Onshore or offshore development?
Onshore.
What's the greatest invention of all time?
Combustion engine. I'm a lazy person traveling all around the world, and my family's spread, so it wouldn't be possible without that.
Who's your dream board member?
Mr. Benikoff from Salesforce.
And who would play you in the story of your life?
I'd say younger Boris Becker, or possibly a more current Ed Sheeran.
Excellent answers. Well, Oliver, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about Imburse. Please make sure to visit imbursepayments.com to find out more about their universal payments adapter. You'll be able to see that URL below Oliver's face right now. If you enjoyed today's vendor spotlight, make sure to subscribe to evermoredigital.com as we bring you the latest in insurance technology news, views and reviews. Please add your comments, likes, subscribe to the channel, share to your boss, share to the other parents in the playground, share with your COVID busy divorce lawyer. But for now, sadly, it's goodbye from Oliver at Imburse.
Thanks for having me.
And it's goodbye from me.